Who here believes in the paranormal and ghosts and demons and stuff like that? Who here believes in that? Well, whether you believe or not, I have some stories to share. Things that have happened on the land I live on. Been in my family for a very long time. The first experience was I was sleeping in my bed. It was late at night, maybe 12 o'clock in the morning, I would say. And I woke up and rolled over in my bed, and mid-roll, at the foot of my bed, there was a silhouette of what I could only describe as a tall, gray woman just standing there, just watching me at the foot of my bed. Scared the bejesus out of me, but I just rolled over and brushed it off. Pretended like nothing happened. But later that night, what I could say is I thought I was dreaming. But I was in my bed, and I rolled over onto my back, and I couldn't move. And this gray lady was now standing right beside me. I was unable to move, unable to get out of bed, unable to talk, could barely breathe. I was terrified. And when I came through, it felt as if I woke up from a dream, but I was hurting very badly. Now, I'm sure there are logical explanations for this, but what's logical about a gray lady being at the foot of my bed and then next to my bed? You know, I do believe dreams are vivid. They can be extremely realistic, make you believe like everything in your dream is true. But in this, I thought it was a dream because I didn't remember waking up. It was like I went to sleep and then it just carried forward. But it makes no sense of how this could happen. And then moments later, once the gray lady basically let me go, it wasn't as if I woke up. I was in the exact position that I was laying in when the gray lady was holding me and not letting me move. Because I shot up out of bed, gasping for air. My body was extremely sore, and I was terrified. Those are just two instances of when I've seen the gray lady. Because in my room, it's kind of shaped as a box. Most people's rooms are. Well, if you got this box, but then you have this little section off to the side where my door is. The third time I've seen her, she was standing over there. Ever since then, I haven't seen her again, but the question is who was the gray lady and why was she in my room, and was it real? If any of you have any comments on this, want to say I'm just paranoid or stupid or ghosts don't exist, go ahead. I really don't care what you say. I believe what I believe, but I'm interested in hearing what you guys think. I did research on the gray lady, and some of the research I came across basically said it was an omen of death. Well, I'm still around, so when am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? Or are the warding symbols and words I stuck in my bedroom protecting me? Story number 2. This one gets a little interesting. I was walking down to my in-laws' house, and on the path back to their house, I saw out of the corner of my eye a a black figure of a man just standing there. Maybe, if I had to guess, 20 feet away, 20, 25, somewhere like that, just standing there watching me. And I looked over at it, and then I picked up pace and got back to their house, and I stayed there for a few hours. I was a little spooked, and it spooked me a little bit more when I explained that it sounded like it was running after me when I started picking up pace and going. It sounded like something was behind me, running towards me. Because I didn't stop and knock on their door. I opened it, went inside, and closed it. The thing that spooked me the most is when my in-law told me he had heard it too. That he had seen some kind of figure standing in the distance watching. And then he just kept walking. And then he heard something walking behind him. That's what spooked me the most, is that it wasn't just me it happened to. And later that night, around or it would have been the morning, I guess. It was about 2 or 3 in the morning when I left and went back home to go to bed and get some sleep, that on the way back, I heard it again. I didn't see anything, but I heard something behind me, just trailing, leaves breaking and everything. I had a flashlight on my hip. This is when I was working at a factory and I had to have a flashlight because I had to inspect equipment and make sure it was clean. Well, I pulled out my flashlight, turned it on. It's super bright, and I turned around and I just looked around. I didn't see anything moving, but I could still hear something walking closer and closer. And I took off. I took off running towards my house, and the footsteps behind me got louder. And I know what you guys are thinking. Maybe it was just an echo of my footsteps. Well, when I was looking around with the flashlight, I wasn't moving. There were no animals nearby. And there was nothing outside with me that I could see. I looked around to see if it was my dog running around. It wasn't him. Turns out he was inside sleeping in his bed. I thought it was maybe a squirrel running around. So I looked around. There's no squirrels on the ground where the sound was coming from. And the sound was very close. So yeah, it scared the living bejesus out of me. Story number 3. I was babysitting my nephews. I was down at my, at their house, and I, walked past their room to go to the bathroom. Their bathroom's at the very end of the hall, and I was walking back after going to the bathroom, and I looked into their room just to check on them. And I looked at the youngest. He was doing fine. He was passed out. And I looked up to the top bunk, expecting just to see my other nephew just sleeping. So it was like a quick walk by, but walking by, I noticed something white sitting in the bed. I had taken a step forward at that point, and I was already past the door, and when I stepped back to do a double check of what the hell I just saw, it was gone. It wasn't there no more. But what I saw, as clear as day, was a small, bright white, almost as if it was a silk white sheet with basically over top of a young child shaped lamp, sitting at the foot of this bed, maybe staring at the door or staring at my nephew. I don't know. But what I saw was this child standing or sitting on the edge of the bed in the corner closest to the door, and it was gone during the time it took me to take that step forward and then to take a step back to double check. It was just gone. Come to find out, my nephew had told me that some strange things have happened in his room. He said that he had, I believe it was a stuffed animal of a football or something. I can't remember what the animal was, but he had a stuffed animal, and he said he left it at the foot of his bed. And he sleeps towards the wall, the far wall to the outside of the house. And he said he woke up, and it was sitting directly next to him. Well, now, I tried to argue the case that he could have moved it in his sleep. It's very often people wake up, do something, and then go back to sleep and not remember it. But then he told me he saw this white silhouette of what looks like a child in his room. And he was scared shitless, needless to say. Now, the weird thing about this is ever since I helped build their house, I've gotten this eerie feeling. if you guys saw my Pray for Zach video, I explained that I can feel energies. It's a weird thing that I've come to know how to do. I will go into a house and I can feel the vibe of what this household is like, what memories are held inside this house. Well, back then, when the house, it used to sit somewhere else, and me and Zach used to make videos in it. We never got these feelings in that house back then. Those videos can actually be found on the channel, so you can probably go find them. They're real old and silly, but that's not what this is about. We were in that house and nothing strange happened, but then we had to move it so they could live in it, and now it's further back on the land. And I was down there one night. I believe we were working on the bathroom floor. We had to cut the entire bathroom floor out and insulate the bottom, replace piping and stuff. Well, during this night, before we started getting to work, me and my in-law were standing down there, and we were both in the living room. The bathroom, basically you have the living room, and then there's the long hallway. The bathroom's at the very end, and then you have the master bedroom. We were in the living room, and it was dark. It was real late at night. We were pulling an all-nighter trying to get stuff done, because earlier that day, we were working on one of the bedrooms, trying to fix up some walls. Well, standing in the living room, he had went outside to go grab something from his vehicle, and I was standing in the living room. I turned my back towards the kitchen because he didn't have any working electricity, so I had my flashlight, like I said, the one that I used for work. Had my flashlight just sitting on the counter, pointing up at the sky to illuminate the room. And I had this dark energy and vibe coming from behind me, coming from the hallway. Now, this dark energy and vibe went away when I turned around. So you could say it was just my paranoia or fear of the darkness getting to me as I turned with my back turned to all this pitch blackness of a hallway. But it doesn't make sense, as I went after we were down in the bathroom and we got it all done. Me and him were both walking down the hallway. He was in front of me, I was behind him. He picked up pace and got out of the hallway, and I didn't know why, but then I started to get this strange feeling there was something directly behind me. So I picked up pace and started going. Get to the living room, and he said that he felt like there was something at the end of that hallway just staring at him, just watching him. I tried to argue the case. Well, I was behind you, but I wasn't staring at you. I was looking at the floor to make sure I didn't trip. And when I looked up, he was basically booking it out of the hallway. And then he said that he had this dark feeling of something watching him in the hallway, so I was like, I got that feeling after you took off running, that there was something directly behind me, and like its hands were hovering over me. And the weirdest thing is there's been a lot of strange things that's happened in that house. Like, it'll be hot as hell in that house. Or, well, it was before they got air conditioning, but me and my girlfriend were down at this house. We were watching a movie, and because, well, no one was living in it at the time, so it was a free space to get away from people. And we were sitting there watching this movie, and it was hot, extremely hot. It was in the summer, and out of nowhere, it just got real cold, and it felt like something was behind me, sitting on the couch. It scared the living bejesus out of me. I mean, I didn't move or anything because she had fallen asleep on my arm, and I didn't want to wake her up and startle her or scare her or nothing, so I just dealt with it and sat there in my head and just started repeating a language that basically only I know how to speak. And I was repeating this prayer to my God, and after a minute, the feeling went away and it was gone. And it gets weirder. Their back door, now that my in-laws live down there, their back door will randomly open. It has a lockable doorknob, and it's always locked. We've tested this door many times to see if it'll pop open under any circumstances. And it's also got one of those basically flip over locks that you padlock. And we put a padlock on there. It's been on there ever since that door, or ever since they moved in and we started working on the house. We padlocked it so people wouldn't break in. Well, the first time we noticed this back door was popped open, not open, but just popped open randomly. And we pulled it shut, and we sat there and we tested it. We were pushing on certain parts of the door, banging on it, kicking it, stomping around the door, hitting the walls, trying everything. It was during the winter at the time, so my idea was maybe it's just the weather. You know, the house settling and the woods expanding and unexpanding. You know, Missouri weather's never the same, so it could be like -5 one day and be 80 the next. Real weird weather. But the fluctuations in the weather weren't changing how the door opened. Like, it would go weeks and months without opening, and then just out of the blue, it's open again. For the past 3 days here recently that I've been down there hanging out and, you know, helping them out doing stuff, because I'm a very helpful person. So I go down there and I help them do stuff, clean, help watch their kids while they're trying to get stuff done, or just little menial tasks like, can you help me build this, help me change the oil in my car, stuff like that. But the past 3 days here recently, that back door has popped open every night. Every night. Not in the day, every night. I walked, it was yesterday, I believe. I went down there around 5 in the morning because they had to go to work. And I had to go down there and watch their kids. Well, I was down there and I was sitting on the couch. I fell asleep for maybe an hour and a half. Got a little bit of shut-eye. And I got up to go use the bathroom. On my way back to the bathroom, I looked over, and it's about 7 o'clock in the morning now, 7 to 6:30, and the back door was popped open. It was strange. So I shut it. And it didn't open at all until the next day. Later that night, we were in the house, and it was all of us in the house. And I was going back to talk to some of the kids to see what they were doing, because they were being loud and sounded like they were trying to destroy the room. And then I came back outside the bedroom after talking to him, and I saw my in-law grab basically the doorknob of the door and pull it closed. It was opened again. Super strange, and no one knows why. There's also been other strange sightings. In my closet in my room, I've seen glowing eyes. 2 eye-shaped symbols. It could be anything, really. Reflecting light, stuff like that. I've seen it. But I've made this video long enough. If you guys want to hear more about the creepy things I've seen and the paranormal and supernatural stuff that I've seen and basically have dealt with in my life, leave a comment down below. Say you want to see more. Leave a like. It'll let me know that you want to see another video of me explaining what's been going on, what kind of scary and spooky stuff's happened in my life. And we don't know. If you guys want to know why I believe in the paranormal and why I'm scared to death of dolls, like if any of you have seen any of my old horror games, I've mentioned it before. It's like I'm scared to death of dolls. Like, that is my biggest fear. I will not go around them. I will not go into a house with them. I will not have anything to do with them. Even walking into Walmart, I will completely go as far away from the doll section in the toy area from Walmart just to get away from them. I am terrified of them. If you guys want to know why and how all this paranormal stuff first started happening, leave a comment down below and tell me that's what you want to see. Comment more paranormal or more stories, and I'll make another video for you guys. But until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my life scary stories that have happened to me and have terrified me, because there are backstories to why some of these things may have happened, but I won't get into it to this video. You guys will have to wait until the next. If there is a next, you guys have to let me know you want to see the next. So I will see you all in whatever I make next. Y'all have a wonderful day, night. Stay away from the spooky things that will give you a fright.